Hello. In this video we're going to demonstrate how to create and configure a league instance. We will cover creating a league, configuring the league options, managing the league after setup. We recommend that you have watched our League Manager overview tutorial before watching this video. For the purpose of this video we will be using the Senior British League. So let's get started. Click Manage Leagues from the sub-menu. Click Create League. The first stage is very simple. Give your league a name. Note, the best way to name a league is to have some kind of date element. If you happen to run multiple league formats, then we would suggest adding something like '2-a-side to the description. Your name can be up to 50 characters long. You cannot use the / character. Instead, we recommend using a dash. We will set up this league as Winter 2013-14. Next, provide a menu name. Note, this field is used on your website menu and will often be the same as your league name. It can be up to 20 characters long. Once again, use of the / character is prohibited. League description is an optional field you can use to further describe the league. We will leave it blank. Finally, provide the start date for your league. Click Save and wait. We have now successfully created our league, and we can now begin configuring the league options. The first thing to notice is that the options are tabbed, which allows similar options to be grouped together. Let's take a look at each tab now. The Basic Details tab already has some options set from when we created the league. So let's look at the new options. Default League. This option allows you to set this league as your default. This option is only really relevant if you have more than one league editable at once. But if you do, it is extremely useful, as it will enable you to specify which league loads as your default selected league on first load. Note, you can only have one default league, so setting this option to yes will effectively turn default off for any other leagues. Membership Manager. This option allows you to use League Manager without membership. By default, you will not have this option available. To use it, you will have to apply to Table Tennis 365 support. Web Visible. This option determines if the league and all records associated to it will display on your website. You should generally keep this option turned off until you have completed the full setup of the league, including fixture creation. Let's take a look at the Format tab. There are 4 options on this tab and they control the format of your league. League Format. Select the option which describes the league format you run. If you don't see your league format here, please contact Table Tennis 365 support. Games per set. This is an appropriate time to tell you that League Manager follows the official definition of game, set and match as defined in the English Table Tennis Association's Law of Table Tennis. Note, when working with League Manager, a match is between 2 teams and those teams must consist of 1 or more players. A set is where a player from each team plays each other, sometimes referred to as individual matches or rubbers, and consists of the best of 3, 5 or 7 games. A game is played to 11 or 21, depending on your league rules. For this option, we will leave the default value of 5 games per set. Game format. Whilst 21 Up is all but extinct, we do support it for legacy competitions. However, we will leave this option set to the default value of 11 Up. Max players per team. If your league has a rule that specifies a maximum number of players in a team, you can set that limit here and the system will enforce this rule for you. For the purpose of this demonstration, we will set this option as having no limit. The Tables tab governs the way your league tables are calculated and displayed. There is currently only one rule for match cards: award match to other team if players are missing. If you don't have a league rule for this, you should leave this option set to no. If you do have a league rule which awards the entire match to the opposition, if a team turns out with a specific number of players missing, then set this option to yes. Notice you now need to provide 2 additional pieces of information: the number of players that should be missing before the system invokes this rule, and a message explaining why the match has been awarded to the opposition team. This message will be displayed on the match card on your website when the rule has been invoked. Table control allows you to determine how much detail to display on your league tables. Use the toggles to turn on additional information. Point system. Due to the varying number of scoring systems in use, we support many different types. If your scoring system is not listed, please contact Table Tennis 365 support. To select a point system, simply open up the options by clicking on the arrow and select your chosen option. The same can be said for the way you order your league tables. Open up the table ordering options and select the option which matches the way your league orders its tables. Again, if your method is not listed, please contact Table Tennis 365 support. Individual averages can be configured to calculate and display in a variety of ways. Each option has a detailed description of what the option is for and when it should be used. We strongly suggest you read these options very carefully while setting up your league. Unexpected behaviour on a league website is almost always a result of incorrectly configured options. The Match Card tab can be used to determine how certain scenarios are handled. If your league fines teams when they have players missing, you can specify how much the fine should be, and the system will keep track of all these fines for you during the season. Likewise, if your league fines teams for late match card submission, you can specify at what point a card is late and also how much to fine the team, and again the system will keep track of these fines throughout the season. This rule is gaining support now in a lot of leagues. The speed at which results are able to be uploaded means that 1 or 2 teams sending in late cards can be very frustrating for the rest. There are several other options available to set. One commonly used option is doubles eligibility. You can specify who is allowed to play doubles. If your league allows other registered team players to play in the doubles, set the scope of this rule. The system is very flexible and can be configured to allow any scenario you may allow. You can also select a match card layout. The default layout works with all formats and is universal. The traditional is provided for the traditional 3-a-side league that uses the 3x3 grid system. Select the layout that your league uses and then move on to configure your match card template. Templates determine the order that matches are played. Click the arrow to reveal all the options and select one that your league uses. If you do not see a template that matches the one your league uses, please contact Table Tennis 365 support. Okay, let's take a look at the Reserves tab, or what is often referred to as step-up. First, let's define what reserves or step-up means. Step-up rules control how the system processes a match card where a team fields a player that is not a registered member of the team. Obviously, the first possibility is that you do not allow this activity. If that's the case for your league, select none from the first drop down and you can move on. However, if you do allow step-up, then you need to tell the system more about your rules. You have two options: a basic mode and an advanced mode. The basic mode is just that. It will allow teams to field players that are not registered to their team. It has one required option, which is the scope of who can be a reserve. You can choose from all players in club or all players in league. Note that the basic mode will allow you to enter match cards with reserves and will never question their eligibility. If you want the system to handle reserves automatically, you need to use the advanced mode. There are a number of options that must be set when using advanced mode. First, you need to specify who can be a reserve, and you have four options. Any player in same club in a lower ranked division. For example, a Division 3 player stepping up for a Division 2 team of the same club. A player in the same club in the same or lower ranked division. This option will allow a player from the same club to play for a team in a higher or the same division. For example, a Division 3 player being fielded for a team in Division 1 or 2, or another team from Division 3. Any player in same club regardless of division. This is a very loose rule and allows a player to represent any team in their club, regardless of what division they play in. For example, it would allow a Division 1 player to represent a team in Division 3. Any player in same club in a lower ranked team. This option requires you to rank all teams in a club. Then rather than restricting reserves based on division rank, it uses the team's rank to determine if the player is eligible. For example, if you have 4 teams from the same club, teams A, B, C and D, and you rank them in that order, a player from Team C could play a match for Team B, but a player from Team C would not be able to represent Team D. The division the teams belong to is irrelevant. Okay, so once you have determined who can be a reserve, you need to specify how many times the player can be a reserve. This option needs to know how many times a player can represent another team before either being moved to that team or being ineligible to play for them again. If on breaking the step-up limit your rules say that person should be moved to a higher team, you can opt to have the system move that player for you. If you opt to use this feature, you need to tell the system at what point you want to move the player. Let's say your rule allows players to step up 3 times. If your rule is play 3 times and on the 3rd time you become a member of that team, choose on reaching limit. If your rule is play 3 times and you are ineligible to step up for another team, but can continue to play for your original team until you step up a 4th time, then choose on breaking limit. Finally, step up can be configured to allow players to be reserves for multiple teams if your league rules allow for this. For example, a player from Division 2 steps up and plays for more than one team in Division 1. To allow this behaviour, set "Is a player eligible to play for multiple teams?" to yes. If you choose to allow this rule, you need to specify one final option, which is the number of times a reserve can play combined. If you allow players to represent more than one team, we need to know if the number of times a reserve can play, which you set earlier, is combined or if it is for each team. Our advanced step-up engine is very configurable and flexible. However, if you have a league rule which is not covered by our engine, please contact Table Tennis 365 support. The Options tab only has one option, which is generally only relevant to large leagues like British League, who have more than one division of the same standard, such as Division 1 North and South. The Eligibility tab allows you to place additional restrictions on who can play in your league. The first option is Age Group. If your league is restricted to certain age groups, you can specify them here. In this demonstration, we will restrict this league to cadets and juniors. The other restriction you can apply is for membership. Specify the type of membership required to play in your league. If you are unsure, please contact Table Tennis 365 support. Then decide if you want the system to police this policy for you by scratching any player without the membership type you selected. If you choose not to scratch the player, the system will just warn you when you finalise the match card, but you will have the option at that point to enforce the rule. Similarly, if you choose to scratch the player, you will be able to override this when finalising the match card. So we advise you to set this option to yes. The final tab is Fixtures and has only one option, which is whether you want to display a start time on your fixture list. If you select yes, you will be asked to provide the time to use. Note that a venue and a team can also have a fixture start time, which will override this setting, allowing you to specify a different start time on the odd occasion where one team or venue may have agreed a different start time to your league rules. Okay, that's all the options for the league discussed. If you want to print these options, you can click the Print button. If you want to save your options as you go, click the Save button and you will stay on this screen. When you have completed your changes, click Save and Close. Note that our league has saved successfully. We are now on the Manage Leagues list. To get back to this page in the future, hover your mouse over the Manage menu and click Leagues. When you have more than one league in this list, you can set the default league, as discussed earlier, by hovering over the default column. Notice a tick appear and click it. At this stage, there is no need for us to set the league as default, because it is already the default league, as indicated by the green default text. Another thing to note, when you have multiple leagues, is the need to be able to switch the current selected league. You can do this from the Manage Leagues list by hovering over the Change column and clicking the change icon when it appears. However, there is a faster way to do this, and it can be accomplished from anywhere within the League module. Simply hover your mouse over the currently selected league. A list of non-archived leagues will show. Just click on a league and the selected league will change. Okay, to wrap up this tutorial, here's a few tips. When a season is complete and you have added all results, archive the league, which is simply a case of clicking on the Archive button for the appropriate league. Keep your league hidden until it is set up fully. When you are ready to display it on your website, turn Web Visible on. Another top tip is to make sure you keep the order of your leagues logical. To change the order of a league, use the Change Order button. Whilst some league options are locked for your own protection during the setup process, you can always see the options you have chosen, even after you have archived the league. When it comes to setting up a new season, a good tip is to open up last year's league in a new window, so you can copy the settings easily and don't need to relearn what all the settings are. You can open a new tab on most modern browsers by clicking your middle mouse button on the edit icon. To provide the best website experience to your players, take care when setting up the league, especially when naming menu items, for example. Choose a league menu name which has a date component, such as Winter 2013-14, and always try and watch the case typography. For example, if you use a capital W for Winter, then always use a capital on all other league names. If you specify the date as Winter 2013-14, make sure next season you specify it as Winter 2014-15, and not something slightly different like Winter 14-15. The same goes for divisions and teams. Select a style of text. We recommend sentence case, which is where you capitalize the first letter and use lowercase for the rest. Ultimately, how you choose to do it is your decision. Just be consistent. This may sound a little picky, but it can make a big difference to the presentation on your league website. If you realize that you have not done this previously and would like to, but your league is archived, please contact Table Tennis 365 support and we will help you achieve this very quickly. That concludes this tutorial. We hope you have found it informative. We recommend you watch the remaining tutorials on League Manager before attempting to set the system up. Thank you.